We're open.
Open for business.
Do you remember who moved and seconded on finance on close?
Where is it?
Martin?
They all,
And Watson.
Okay. Apparently I'm not afraid of whatever.
don't we have to wait till open the?
We have to wait until they get back, if there's anyone coming back in, and then, yes, and then,
Can I ask the attorney a question?
yes, we can walk out together. And then Dave will start
Ooh.
the recording.
You all right?
Nice landing. Yellow tape on that
I
stuff.
know. I don't know what Tom Majerovich was thinking when he designed it that way.
I know, with the yellow tape.
I know that I have some, if something weird
Yep.
happen. I'm just gonna be so- If there would be just something, anything that we're concerned about personally, because I'm not. Because I know one thing.
You know that we're starting. Yeah, I told him.
He's nodding, we're good. Okay. With that, as the Chair of Finance, I'll announce that the Finance Committee has adjourned in closed session and has opted not to take action on the agenda items at present. So the committee continuing is only the Room Tax Commission.
All right. So that leads us to number 8, our final item on the agenda, which is a discussion and possible action regarding our 2020 room tax tourism grant requests. So obviously, we have some things on file that we put on pause because of the non-essential nature of our activities. So I guess in theory, I guess the way I look at this is we have some applications that we need to make a decision on as a first issue, and then I'm not sure if there's other issues, but I just don't see with the financial forecast we're given, and granted that these applications are largely hinging on events that have been canceled or not happening or are uncertainty, I just don't see how we can entertain funding our spring requests at this time, knowing the uncertainty of what we have forward and what we may be contractually obligated to and have other things for. So, you know, I did get a question from someone asking if we could amend an application, and I don't think we could do that. They need to reapply. And so I guess I'd open up for discussion of some thoughts.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I would agree. I think that there's an awful lot of uncertainty in the marketplace with event cancellations and room tax being down. That said, you know, we always have a spring allocation and a fall allocation. I think that I would like to see us hold and see what the fall brings in terms of funding and requests. If not, you know, we do have 2 applications in front of us. If either of those occurs prior to our fall allocation, we would not be able to award grants to those. If they occur after, we would certainly be able to hold those applications and entertain them in the fall. But right now, we just don't know enough about where we're going to be in terms of revenue. I mean, certainly, you know, as I said about the commission, we want to keep the commission. We want the commission active and you know, doing all of these things with our event community in 2021, hoping things are better. But right now, there's just there's too much uncertainty to award to anyone, I feel.
Any questions? I know obviously we have some funding applicants here. Any questions you have? You know, I guess my question is, these were all submitted prior to the current situation. You know, I'm not sure holding these over, you
Do we know
know,
the dates of the events offhand? Are they on the?
you know.
The performing arts is a marketing.
So it's
subsidy, a
ongoing,
marketing
ongoing.
subsidy, Yes.
So that we could consider in the
And,
fall.
well, I guess I just, you know, my theory is if we can't fund these now, I would just encourage them to reapply.
Sure.
You know, with probably much more information that they know more concrete what's going to happen than
Right, and
what
they'll-
may be in this.
And they'll know too more what their marketing picture looks like for the rest of the year with being able to reopen safely or not, or
Yeah.
being able to hold shows or not.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
revise it accordingly, that would
True, and
Be
Iron
able
Bowl was
to do
prior
that.
to the fall, right? That's a summer event,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I agree with Tom, I guess
you know?
Well, I think the Iron Bowl is a series of events, but I don't think they've got anything scheduled with live
Yeah.
people. It's all, they're doing
They're
events
virtual.
virtually
Yeah.
where you can compete on your own and
Yeah.
And then log your results.
And log your
whatever.
And let's not,
Results, yeah.
I mean, you know, basically our purpose of funding is based on funds available, and I just don't feel, I don't feel confident, you know, what's to say Monday, we don't get the new order to shut down again, and,
You never know.
you know, I think if we're going to have any hope of funding anything in the fall, you know, taking this money out now, I just think, you know, will not get us there. So, I guess then we would need a motion to, oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. Come on up. Either,
Good evening. Thanks for having us. I'm Kathy Foley. I'm the director of the Woodson Art Museum, the Lee Yawkey Woodson Art Museum. Amy Beck, marketing and communications manager. And our situation is quite different relative to the Room Tax Commission. We were awarded a $10,000 grant for La Fichomania, Passion for French Posters, which opened right as the coronavirus, as COVID-19 was descending on the United States and impacting all of our lives in ways we never could have imagined. And the exhibition was, we had really quite significant marketing plans, which the Room Tax Commission was very excited about in awarding that grant, and also remitting $10,000 to the Woodson Art Museum, which fortunately, as we watched the news and worldwide events, we did not spend any of that money.
okay.
And that's the nature of the question and/or request. And it's a sort of two-prong, and I mean, let's just be very direct. We can return the $10,000 to the Room Tax Commission. We are now open again, and we have been for 6 weeks. And we are welcoming visitors, and interestingly, we are welcoming many out-of-town visitors, many first-time visitors to our community. So, and I know this for a fact, because we have not brought our volunteers back to the museum. Our professional staff is serving as greeters in the main entry. So we are not only implementing our very carefully constructed protocols, but we're interacting with all of the visitors who come in the door. And I'm not going to tell you there's a rush of visitors. It's slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. But what we're hearing is a surprising number of people who are exploring our central region, from the east, from the west, from the north, and the south. And that's a good thing for our community, because they may not be spending the night, but they are spending money here. They're typically eating, buying gasoline, and maybe some of them are spending the night. 2 I know specifically that I talked to. So we're committed to remaining open as long as it is safe to do so, until there is a shutdown order, if that were to happen again. And we're also full speed ahead working on the 45th anniversary edition of Birds and Art. Not only our flagship exhibition, but the exhibition that has brought great attention to the community for 44 years. So in part, the question to the Room Tax Commission is, could those awarded funds be moved to enhance promotion for Birds and Art at a time when the region, when the community is trying to rebuild after the spring and the early summer. Now, in making that request, I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know whether we might have to close again, or whether robust promotion will be prudent. It's the middle of July. The exhibition opens on the 12th of September and remains on view through the 29th of November. So that's our story.
I got
That's
it.
our question. How'd I do? All right.
I was thinking that you were talking about the application you had in sitting now that we hadn't acted on.
We don't
so-
have an application
Exactly,
sitting.
so that's my bad, so.
I have just a comment.
Lisa, yeah.
Our history with the Woodson Museum and the fact that it is always seeking, rotating exhibits and promotions and, to bring in visitors that we may not otherwise get. Obviously, no one planned for the pandemic. None of us asked for this. And the fact that they're looking to do enhanced marketing, whether it's for Birds and Art or whether it's for something even in the future, it would make sense to me if we would leave those funds with the museum, expecting fully that every year we're getting an allocation request from them anyway. And, we have never, that I can recall as a commission, not funded those asks in some way.
Yeah.
We funded them, we maybe didn't fund them in
Yeah.
full, we gave everybody what we could afford to give them. But, the tourism focus is still there, and in the interest of promotions, which is what they would have done anyway, I think for them to continue that effort makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, that touches my heart.
yeah.
To the best of our ability, our goal is to reach as many people as we can. Not only serving our local region, but bringing people here. I mean, our reputation is worldwide. Tim knows firsthand, we did not make the decision lightly to suspend our opening week activities, our opening weekend activities, which brings hundreds of people to our community. Similarly with Wausau's Outrageous Weekend, the marketing component of the opening weekend of Birds and Art, the Festival of Arts, and Art in the Park, and Center for the Visual Arts activities. No one made those decisions lightly. We made them with guidance from the community healthcare providers, with the county health department. I think we were prudent, we were responsible, and I think our current actions are, the summer exhibition focuses on indigenous art from in communities in India. It's called Many Visions, Many Versions. People are fascinated by the cultures of India. And again, this is not something that you can see elsewhere, regionally, or even further afield. So we're doing our part to bolster community visits, to community interests.
Based on its size, the museum does lend itself to decent distancing. Obviously, they have a plan. I mean, they can obviously meter attendance if they need to as far as the turnout. But the museum also offers a number of outdoor visual attractions that people appreciate and attend, which is also, one of the activities that's still safe for people to do is to be outside.
And
Yeah.
we are actively promoting our sculpture garden.
Right.
And if you haven't been this summer, other than trying to describe it in this very specific way, the gallery edition that was completed in 2012, which is typically used for selections from our permanent collection, one of the decisions that we made while we were closed in March and April was to re-envision that gallery. We took all of the permanent collection works down, and we have now devoted all of our changing exhibition space, plus the large 2012 gallery, to changing exhibitions. So it is a kind of enforced social distancing because we have almost doubled the running feet and square footage
Wow, that's great.
for special exhibitions. A really very insightful move on our part. And that's Birds and Art. The exhibition that follows Birds and Art will also encompass all of that space. So again, we are trying to keep everyone safe and healthy. Our staff, our volunteers, we surveyed last week. We sent surveys that are now coming back, and the overwhelming response of volunteers' desire to come back to again serve that greeter function They're not put off by mask wearing. And they miss the museum, they miss the interaction. I mean, they're the welcome mat and the face forward for our community, and they do a marvelous job.
So a question, I guess, just I have to make this, happen. We're talking about 2019
Correct.
funds that have already been allocated.
Right.
And
And I was
expected.
thinking coming into this that we'd be covered because this was the new, so
I think-
this item's not on the agenda. How do we, can we give them direction to do it? That will make sense, my theory is, yes, we give you permission to pivot, and knowing that Amy's reporting is impeccable, that will come back of what she did and how
Yes,
she
it
did it,
will.
that we'll see that.
Oh, and-
Is that good enough, or do we have to take some sort of action because it's really not on the
Well, I
agenda?
don't-
I think our action is to
Taking-
not take action.
Taking no action leaves them with the money.
Yeah.
So I feel like if
So-
we take no action, you keep the money.
So in earlier activities, we talked a lot about trust. We trust to be good stewards of our room tax funds
And we are.
report back to us, and we look forward to your success.
Is this,
Thank
is this,
you.
is it for Birds and Art?
So we would use it for Birds and Art pending, at least, I would like to have something in writing that we, even if it's just our communicating our understanding back to you,
Sure.
that it would be for Birds and Art unless something just dreadful happens between now and September, and
Right.
we're again forced to close.
Yeah.
I just want to make one other comment relative, Tom, to your nice comment about Amy's meticulous reporting, and that's that a lot of that, the data, comes from our digital guest book. And if you've experienced our digital guest book, you know that it was a touch screen. So among the pivots and the alternatives that we did, almost overnight, were to use the new QR, I hope I'm saying this right, the new type of QR code where you just hold up your device to the QR code and it causes a pop-up that takes you on your own device to our digital guest book.
Nice.
So
Very good.
again, we're getting data from our visitors, again, we have no playbook.
No,
And
we're all
none of
learning
us do.
together.
And
Yep.
this has been challenging.
Yep.
So thank you for being gracious and being supportive of the Woodson Art Museum, and thank you.
Very good, thank you.
We hadn't
So-
previously funded that, correct?
Yes, we did. We funded it in fall, it was fall of 2019
We did, we funded the
allocation.
poster thing, and the
Yes.
year before that, we funded the quilt exhibit.
Yep.
So,
And the check was issued, I think, like December
Oh.
26th
Yes.
of 2019.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't ask that clear enough. For 2020 Birds and Art, had we already provided an award?
No.
No,
no one's applied.
no.
It was more about going over the $10,000 threshold.
Oh, right.
So it was,
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
yeah.
So we
Got
need
it.
to entertain a motion then to, I guess, not fund any of our current spring applicants?
Right. I'll make a motion that we then hold all allocations until the fall, pending a better picture of what room tax is going to be.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a second. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Any other business that we need to, other than, I guess, we'll hear back from the mayor and Marianne and...
We will.
And regarding our
They'll
inquiries?
let us know when to
Right,
schedule
okay.
another meeting, and
Okay. Other than that, a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mike, and second by Jim. Anything else? All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.